So I have my new background.
Hey guys, welcome to the very first episode of, I'm just going to call this Wednesday Night Crew. Back in college, we used to get together all the time at a bar, whether it was for a sporting event, but we always ended up talking about geek stuff. So we decided to do that for this podcast, video podcast, while we're doing everything and sitting around doing nothing. So with me is Nick Elner and Derek Carbiner. Yes, that is his actual name. It is Carbiner.
I don't know if I actually ever heard your last name out loud, or if I did, it's like was very rare.
We
So.
we don't talk about it.
Yeah, I thought it was like Berner or something.
No, the good one is Carabiner.
Carabiner.
Because I have that fortune, you know.
All right, so with Derek's good fortune, he actually came up with the topic that we're going to be talking today, which is where we actually think the Marvel Universe is going to go from here.
But we talked about where it's come from then.
Well, apparently it came from Thor, looking at his body right now.
Well, you know what? It's always just have an ideal to aspire to. You know what? I'm okay with that.
But yeah, so last time we saw it was they finally got Thanos, killed him. Downey's dead. Captain Marvel dead. Passed on to, we believe, that Falcon and Spider-Man.
You mean Captain America?
You mean Captain America.
Marvel.
Yes, thank you. Captain Marvel is still around.
I was like, wait a minute, did you see something I didn't see?
No, my bad. I was trying to recall everything that happened. There's so much. But so where do you guys think it's going to take off, especially with Spider-Man losing his giving his identity out?
Go for it, Nick.
Oh, you can go first if you want. It was your topic. It's hard to like say exactly where it's going to go right now. I mean, you have to, for one thing, you have to realize is there's a whole new aspect to MCU, which is Disney Plus. So we have to basically, because everyone's saying that Disney Plus is going to be an MCU essential. It's not going to be like the Netflix series, which kind of were a pretty big letdown in the end because Defenders was short and then there was no tie-in to the rest of MCU at all. But they're going to say that Disney Plus is going to be required reading if you actually want to get be dialed into it fully. So it's going to be basically most likely cross-platform at this point, where the narrative will probably be streaming and in theater. So, I mean, that's just one aspect you have to consider at this point.
Yeah, that one's tough because I haven't really. They're being like really like lock and key about that stuff, the Disney Plus stuff. So can't really go too much into that one. Like we got, I think, was it during the Super Bowl? There was like that quick little teaser, showed like 1-2 second clips of every show that was coming out. But yeah, as far as like movie wise goes, like the last one we saw obviously was Spider-Man Far From Home. That was technically like the last movie of the Phase 3, even though it seems like Endgame was it, but I guess it wasn't. I honestly don't know what happens to Spidey, and like obviously for those that know me, Spidey is like life. So I'm actually very interested in that because that's not I think the only time I can really recall Spidey's identity was kind of like actually like thrown out in the public was comic book related. It was Civil War when he like took a side and like took his mask off, like I'm Peter Parker, you know, and I've been a superhero for blah 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 years, you know, and everyone's like, ah. So I feel like that's what they were trying to go for with this whole like reveal with like the whole Mysterio aspect and bringing back J. Jonah Jameson, which was amazing. And I mean, that's just Spidey right there, though. I think that definitely, I honestly think, and this is my geek dream, is if and this still bases on the friendly partnership between Disney and Sony, which can get very complicated. But my geek dream is that they're going to bring in more Spidey side of things, and they're going to bring in Norman Osborn, who is the Green Goblin, but he's always been like the big bad guy of like not a Thanos like entity level, but he's like always up there with like the Doctor Dooms and the like whoever's. And I think like that's going to just set up a bunch of different bad guys, and he's going to be running the show, and that's going to be like our setup for like the next wave of like stuff that's going to be going down.
Do you think they'll come back with the Sinister Six like they were doing with the Sony?
So I have always wanted a Sinister Six. Like that was definitely they teased that in those crappy Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man movies, and it was like, oh yeah, let's do it. But I think that's just so overhyped that Disney wouldn't go that route. And I actually think this goes back to my whole geek dream was in the comics again, which I feel like they kind of take from the comics. They kind of don't though. They kind of put their own twist on it. Um, Norman Osborn, I'm not entirely sure if I'm right here, but he doesn't take over Shield, but he comes, I think, either a part of Shield that turns into something else or kind of is like a high up there. He assembles a his own Avengers team, and they call it Dark Avengers, which
Yeah.
they do heroic
Is it
deeds.
like Marvel Suicide Squad?
No, well, yeah, I guess in a way, but they're a front. They look like they're doing a bunch of good things, but really in the shadows or in the background, they're doing a bunch of bad things for his, his agenda. And I feel like that might be a route they could go. Again, saying that Sony and Disney keep this going and, all that kind of stuff, which, you know, I don't want to lose
Yeah.
Spidey, but that's one thing I could totally see go for. I don't think anyone would really see that coming. So
The
It
one
just
that I think, I gotta be honest, sorry to cut you off, Nick, but the
That's
one that I think that is gonna be happening. So you saw how they did the whole lead up to Endgame, and you had everybody come in. I think they're going to do something similar, where they're going to have everybody come in again, new characters, old characters, the whole 9 yards, and then they're also going to probably bring in, because I've heard rumors that they're going to bring in Daredevil, Charlie Cox, yeah, I believe from Netflix's uh, TV show, and put him into the Spider-Verse and have him be Spidey's lawyer, which I thought was pretty cool. And then I think what their end game for Phase 4 is going to be, and I'm kind of hoping because it'd be really interesting, would be Secret Wars. Because then you can open up the multiverse, and then you can also have X-Men and Fantastic Four come into play along with that, along with Deadpool, who's my number one superhero. And him and Spidey's relationship will be freaking amazing. Especially Tom Arnold and Ryan Reynolds playing off of each other. That would be pretty funny to watch.
yeah, they definitely. It's confusing because they totally could go with Secret Wars. They have like the whole scrolls are in here and everything, but the whole like difference now is that at least in Captain Marvel they make them to look like not bad guys, whereas in the comics they've always been bad guys. Maybe this is a front. I don't know, but maybe they still do Secret Wars, but they do a twist on it somehow. I'm not entirely sure how they would do that, but
it's just the big thing is I don't think you can really I mean, it's a big like Hail Mary to hope that like the narrative's going to center around a Spider-Man property at this point because
Very true.
it's just
yeah.
because if you want to talk about Star Wars, it's just like they didn't have a roadmap, and it's just like they can't maintain a relationship for that long to have that long of a roadmap for the narrative to make sense. So it would be cool, but it's probably unlikely. But I don't know. It's just like the problem is it's Disney, and they. It's annoying though because it's just gonna be harder to somewhat get the rated R stuff out of them, and I just like the problem is Disney's kind of like a wild card in all this because I've kind of seen what they've done with Star Wars, and it's been a little safe. It's been a little generic, and I, I hope to be proven wrong, but I just have a feeling we're like, it's just like it's kind of recreating the wheel, and like we're moving out of the golden age now. I could be wrong, and we could have really great movies. It's just like, in order to maintain that narrative continuity, because like, just like Star Wars couldn't even maintain a 3-movie continuity, and it's like, the same ultra conglomerate. So I'm just worried about the overall quality, I would say. I'm not as sophisticated with you guys as far as the narrative goes. My comic book knowledge is if there was a cartoon made of it, I probably know about it, but I don't really know the actual comics narratives too much. But I don't know.
Are you
I
saying
think
are we getting more towards like a desaturation in a way?
I just don't think the quality is gonna be there, and it's gonna. I just like it because I know where I keep talking about Star Wars, but I just like, after the last movie, it was like I could have waited to see this movie,
Well, it's a
and
good parallel to run off of. If you really think
yeah,
so, it's a good thing to go off of. Is the Star Wars?
I just worry that they're gonna make things very safe, and then they just like they throw out these like token LGBT representations, and it's literally like freaking crumbs of representation in 2020. Like, we just had like a relatively successful gay candidate, like, and we're still like get a mention, like, oh, he got a slightly interested glance, and that was his romance for the entire like story arc of this character. Like, so it's just like, I don't know. I just like, it's gonna matter definitely. I'm excited for Thor and Love and Thunder for sure, because
Yeah,
they're going the same director, and I just some of my favorite movies have been the Thor movies in the MCU.
obviously from your background.
Hmm. Yeah. Um, but for other reasons too, other than we can have a discussion about which Chris is prettier. Um, there's a lot of them too. So, uh,
There are.
but yeah, I don't know. Where was I going with this? You distracted me with the talk of Chris's.
Well, and the other thing that we gotta realize, and me and Derek went off with Spidey, but you still have the other news that I heard recently was that they were going to kill somebody off on Guardians, which is going to be interesting. That was a huge rumor. I saw just a quick glance of it. I don't know if that's actually true or not, but I'm wondering what they're going to do with Guardians, especially since Thor is in that one too, and he's doing a travel buddy.
The Asgardians.
Oh. I wasn't sure what you were talking about. Guardians of the Galaxy, and I'm like, they're gonna kill one of them off.
Apparently, from what I've heard, I read somewhere real quick that somebody is going to die.
Hmm.
And then the other
Possibly.
question is, with all this, what they're going to do with the universe and everything else. What about Jane? Because she's going to get
Well,
Thor's powers.
yeah, supposedly she will become Thor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering, how is that going to work if Thor is still Thor? Are
Yeah,
they
that
going to
one.
bring Thor as a frog like they did in the comics?
That'd be amazing.
Well, I just yeah, you have to wonder, like, that you have to factor in, when is Chris Hemsworth going to retire, because like obviously Robert Downey Jr. mostly retired, Chris Evans mostly retired. I mean, Chris Evans, I'm pretty sure, is pretty done, just from his personality. It's just not something he really wants to do anymore. But Robert Downey Jr. has kept the door open. But I mean, they're gonna probably want to play play the greatest hits at some point and go back to that. But I'm really excited to see this whole dynamic shift with Natalie Portman all of a sudden becoming the superhero. But I'm just wondering, what does that mean for him? Like, when is he going to eventually make his exit? Because I mean, even Hugh Jackman, who played Wolverine for 20 years, he eventually had to, bow out. So
Yeah,
That's
and they're still
unfortunate.
talking about him coming back and possibly getting in with Deadpool.
I mean,
I think that's a pipe dream, but it would be
Patrick
amazing.
Stewart said he'd play Xavier again if he was in MCU, like true MCU and NCU.
I would
And
definitely
I
be
would
interested in
absolutely
that.
hope that. Because Patrick Stewart's been giving us great fan service with Picard. Shout out to that show. That was really great. And if anyone is out there, CBS was giving 30 days of free streaming, so you can watch that for free. So
Just
PSA.
for all you guys know, Nick is our Star Trek expert.
Yeah, he's a Trekkie. No, I'm touching back on the Thor deal. Thor 4, was it Love and Thunder? No, I'm really interested in how they're gonna pull that off because Asgard is
Face guy?
Asgard.
Sorry,
What was that?
that bird face. Who's the bird face guy? Thor. He's like
you
Thor, but he has a bird face. He's like a Birdman.
are you thinking about the horse guy, Betty Ray Bill?
Yeah. Oh, sorry. I just want to ask. Like, you say what you're going to say, but I want to ask about that, and you think that's going to come in or something
No,
at
so
all?
that was part of it. So the first thing I'm wondering how they're pulling this off is that Asgard's gone. Is now new Asgard. They're on Earth. Which obviously Jane Foster is of Earth, so that kind of like goes together. I just don't get like the only way I could see it like transferring over is if either one Thor says, "All right, since I'm done being, maybe he wants to hang it up or whatever, and it passes on to her," or two, worst case, like no one wants this, but he dies somehow, maybe in Guardians 3, maybe.
Yeah.
And then transfers it over to Natalie Portman. I don't know too much on the backstory of Beta Ray Bill. I know he's pretty much like the equivalent of Thor. I don't know exactly where he comes from. I don't know if he's like part of the Nine Realms, like one of those worlds that has the equivalent of Thor, because he can wield the hammer too. So it's like there are multiple hammers? Is there one hammer and someone gets it, someone doesn't? I'm not totally sure how that
Oh,
works out.
don't start, because they took the hammer in Endgame, and I'm just like, that's like as important as an Infinity Stone. The continuity is broken.
Yeah. But no, I know a lot of people. Beta Ray Bill is kind of like a newer character, and he's kind of been a fan favorite, and he was teased in the third Thor movie when you see that shot of them going towards the Grandmaster's tower. He has
Yeah.
all those heads on his tower, and they were
Yeah, I
building
saw
the
that.
Hulk one. Beta Ray Bill was down in there. So he is technically been solidified in this, the MCU. So maybe he'll come through in 4, but not totally sure how they'll pull that one off.
Yeah, I just was curious because I've seen him in like some of the cartoon movies, but
Mm.
I was just like, he seems like a feature in Thor's storylines. So I was just curious if he was going to show up or not. I saw a whisper of something like that was going to happen, but
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised.
Right. And then you also got, like you guys were saying also, is Nick, you were talking about it earlier with the Disney Plus, like how is WandaVision going to be
or
played?
Loki
Or
or Falcon
Loki? Yeah.
and Winter Soldier. Like, there's like 3 different shows now, and I'm actually, I mean, this was what I was more expecting from the Netflix shows, which was a bit more tie-in to the
Mhm.
overall like MCU, which Netflix, there was nothing. There was no tie-in whatsoever. There was a couple mentioned like, oh yeah, now
Of
there's Iron
incident.
Man, and yeah, the incident and
Yeah.
Iron Man, and like these slightly things happened, but like um okay, and I wanted to just tell people this because a lot of people didn't pick this up. At the end of Spider-Man, where it's the Daily Bugle or whatever, and they're revealing, Spider-Man's identity.
Yeah.
Do you know who they're parodying there? They're parodying Infowars. If you look at the set that he's sitting on, he's
What?
it's literally
Hmm.
like identical, and a lot of people didn't realize that. And I'm like, I really like that because that's like sensational journalism today, and they're making it like really relevant and updated. And I thought that was a really interesting like layer to that movie that I wanted to call out like randomly because I just really appreciated that. But I want to see how that continues in Spider-Man's storyline evolution too, because just like misinformation is becoming like a real thing in like society,
exactly.
and it's just like I hope we can maybe address it in maybe some of our entertainment and media so that maybe we can start programming the masses to be a little more skeptical about.
Well, Derek, you can also vouch for me. That was kind of like Jonah Jameson's character in general, where he just wanted to sell magazines and newspapers. He didn't care about necessarily what was true.
Oh yeah, no,
he wanted to be the first out there.
He's fake news.
No, exactly. And I'm just like, I'm really interested to see, being communications majors and doing like things like media criticism and stuff. It's just like that kind of stuff actually kind of really, I'm really interested to see because it's actually an interesting postmodern commentary on like current media trends.
So I swear I'm not trying to like jump on the whole Spidey wagon and like promote my Spidey nerdness, but this one has been getting on me for a while, and I love to hear what you think on this one. So J. Jonah Jameson was in this new Spider-Man, same actor from the original Sam Raimi Spider-Man with the Tobey Maguire and all that. If you bring in multiverses, which I know we're opening up a whole another can of worms here.
They already know that they're doing the multiverse because you got Doctor Strange coming out that says Rise of the Multiverse.
So that's why I was gonna tie it into was like, will that bring us? So get me here too. Sam Raimi, who directed the original Spider-Man, is directing that Doctor Strange movie. Does he cross them together in a multiverse situation where you got the two different J. Jonah Jamesons, the different Spider-Man, and they're coming together? Like, again, geek dream again, but
I mean, it would definitely be within Sony's current framework because of Into the Spider-Verse, and that was a smash success for them. That there's a sequel already planned for that and coming out, and that won them an Academy Award. So I could definitely see them embracing a multiverse Spider-Verse position. I think it'd give them a lot to feed hungry fans for a lot of just
it would be a total like just the fans would eat that up.
Yeah, and I think that might be where we might be going soon, where they just kind of throw a lot of characters on screen to distract from, I don't know, I felt like they teased a lot in phase 1.
Yeah, they totally did.
Too much, almost a little, because like in phase 1, honestly, like I didn't think Thanos got enough of backstory leading into Infinity/Endgame. Like, you know, after Guardians especially, I honestly thought I could see like potential in like especially Doctor Strange and Black Panther, among other movies. Like it wouldn't be too hard to work it in where they put more expositional narrative and built his character up to like, so you're already like kind of invested in him as a character before you even get to Infinity War Endgame, because they have the time. But with that being said, I lost my train of thought. I shouldn't have smoked. What was I saying before?
No, it's Chris Hemsworth. We know it is. Don't blame me.
But no, Nick,
Mercy me, I am parched right now.
You are totally correct, dude. And they've actually already done something similar with the Amazing Spider-Man, where actually Tobey Maguire had a cameo in there, and so they could do something kind of similar and also make it like the Spideyverse and have just all these different Spider-Mans. It would be cool to have the Jameson and Jameson square off each other and both of them yelling at each other, like almost like if it would be a modern day Trump versus Trump kind of thing. It would be really funny if they could pull something off like that. And then before I forget, we're not even discussing all the other movies that they got coming out already, which is like Black Widow, the Eternals, Moon Knight. Who, if you guys don't know, Moon Knight is freaking amazing. He's actually considered the best martial artist in the Marvel universe. The only one to ever defeat him has been Deadpool because he can't predict what Deadpool's going to do.
I heard Daniel Radcliffe might play him.
That would be cool. I wouldn't mind that one at all.
Isn't Moon Knight from Egypt?
Oh, I have no idea.
I have to look into that.
Derek and Nick.
That'd be interesting.
Yeah. No, it'd be interesting. Sorry, guys. My wife was asking who I was talking to.
I don't think that was the husky.
No.
You better get that podcast. You better fuck it hard. Fuck it hard.
She'll be on another episode. And then I don't know much about this one. Shang-Chi, The Legends of the Ten Rings. Does anybody know anything about that one?
Oh, yeah, I was like, what is that?
So I don't know really jack about that character. I'm pretty sure that's a newer modern comic character. I think Disney is just trying to expand, kind of like what Nick was touching on with the, LBQ and female, they're trying to catch up. Is pretty much what they're going for. And
yeah, just that wasn't even catch up. It's still like lagging behind.
Oh,
like,
totally.
That's
no,
like what they were doing there was just like I want a gay superhero to have his own freaking movie. So like, let me know when that happens and then we'll be caught up.
But I know that the other reason for it is the Ten Rings. That's been teased since the very first Marvel movie, Iron Man. And Marvel knows that they totally dropped the ball on that one in Iron Man 3, which I actually just watched the other night because I was just like, I haven't seen that one in a while. And I remember it not being that great. And it's still not that great. And but that was the one where they teased the Ten Rings and Ben Kingsley was the Mandarin, but he wasn't the Mandarin. But then they did a short later that he was the man. It's so confusing. So I think this is their redemption movie on that storyline.
That would be
yeah, because I remember because I know about Iron Man because I've seen his cartoons, and there was always a Mandarin with his rings, and
10 Rings of Power.
So I was like, oh, that's kind of not what I was expecting at all when I saw that movie.
Yeah, so I think this is them trying to redeem themselves. I don't know how exactly you do it without Iron Man because that was the Iron Man nemesis. Like if like Green Goblin to Spider-Man or Captain America and Red Skull, like Iron Man had the Mandarin. So
yeah, that's what I was always understanding. So I was like, they're really taking a very different direction then.
Yeah. So I don't know if you have Shang-Chi that will be the prominent character in this. I'm sure he will be, but then maybe you bring in the next phase of Iron Man,
which would possibly be his daughter, from the outtake, which would be actually pretty cool.
It would be cool.
That would be cool. And
I can see that. I can see the kid from Iron Man 3 doing it, Harley.
Yeah, because he was at the funeral. That was
I remember watching that. I was like, "Who the heck's that scrawny little kid in the back?"
Dude, I picked that up as soon as I saw it. I looked over at my wife, who was my girlfriend at the time. I go, "That's the kid from Iron Man 3." She goes, "What the fuck are you talking about?" I go, "This is an Easter egg."
Yeah, puberty, man.
I wonder if they're going to keep Happy in all of them. I hope they do.
I love Happy.
But yeah, and then the other two movies that I also just saw on the list was Black Panther 2, Captain Marvel 2, and then the other one that's actually really interesting is Blade. They're going to bring in Blade. And then they're also doing with Blade, they're also doing a TV show of The What If. And one of the What Ifs...
Can't wait for that. Yeah.
What if all the superheroes were vampires? So is that how it's going to be tied in, you think?
I think the What If series is not going to be canon. I think that Disney Plus series is going to be just a really fun, gift to the fans kind of thing where, there's going to be multiple directors. It probably is going to be live action. It's probably going to be animated. Like, it's going to be an anthology in a way. Like, it's just going to be a bunch of different short stories of like, what if the Red Skull was Captain America instead of Captain America? You know, just a bunch of little things like that the fans would always be like, what if this did happen? Like, it's a service, is what I see it as. I don't
It would
think
be
it's
a cool
going to tie
service.
in to anything.
It would be a cool service. What's your dream what if scenario, Nick?
Oh God, dream what if scenario.
And it can't deal with Pratt or any other Chris's.
Yeah. I would probably have to say a Deadpool Spider-Man team up, or I would just love. I mean, I would just like I said, I would love to see the old X-Men, particularly Xavier and Wolverine, get brought into MCU. If we could see it like a good Fantastic Four movie once, that would be amazing.
I think this is Nick's wish list.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, if that's what you want to call it.
Okay, hold on, Nick. Since you are actually a guy that I would trust in his taste of like casting people. So who would you cast for your Fantastic Four?
Oh, that would be
Ooh,
difficult. Let's
That's a
see.
good one. I think we all know who Mr. Fantastic is. Because it's been rumored so much right now, and it's the only one that makes
has
sense
to
to
be.
me.
It
So
has to be.
I'm gonna let you go, Nick. I'm gonna let you go.
Wait, who?
No,
We're not
you
done.
go.
We're not saying. We're saying after you come up with your list.
Oh my God. Well, it's hard to think off the top of my head right now.
Especially since you're high.
Quiet you.
His head is like perfectly positioned on Chris Hemsworth's abs. He's like lying on a pillow of abs.
If only. If only. God, that's so difficult. So, God, I would have to like really think about that, to be honest, because I'm just drawing a blank off the top of
That's
my
a
head.
tough one on the spot.
Yeah, you seriously, I could like think about one person like casting one character, but four, like, oh my God, like I have to think about interpersonal dynamics and like, oh God, that'd be a little too much right now. Because every single time I think of someone, they're already cast in MCU.
Well, you can have doubles because like Chris Evans was already the Human Torch, and then he became Captain America.
Yeah, but that wasn't like
But that was
MCU
Fox.
at all.
And then
That was like
Disney.
that
I
was
know,
so
but
long
still,
ago.
you can
Like
switch.
that was like
It feels like a lifetime ago.
that's so long ago. I was still straight.
Oh,
I like
that was
that one.
great. All right, so Derek, you want to drop who the rumor's been?
Yeah, so Reed Richards, Mr. Fantastic, John Krasinski,
Oh
100%.
yeah. That I was seeing that.
I actually had always thought that. I'm not gonna like toot my horn, but I always thought that, and then it definitely like started swirling on the internet, and I was just like, maybe it actually will happen. That would be so awesome. He just looks kind of the part, just has, and he's quirky, and I don't know. So then his wife, Reed Richards' wife Sue, I think should actually be John Krasinski's actual wife,
Yep, I
Emily
agree
Blunt.
with you.
I think she would be awesome with that, and those two would obviously work together on that dynamic. So I just feel like that makes the most sense, is those two. As far as Torch and Thing, that I'm not totally sure on yet. I saw one rumor the other day, which I don't think I would go for, but it's kind of funny to think, was Joel McHale as Johnny Storm.
He's a little bit
Ooh.
old for that at this point.
Yeah, that's what I think so too.
Yeah,
That's
I mean,
pretty
he
cool.
kept you like, especially after like season 7 of the Community, he was kind of phoning in the buff body. So,
Yeah.
who was I thinking? You know who I think might be able to do Human Torch? He just needs to like move out of his twink phase and bulk up. Is Timothy Chalamet or Chalamet?
Okay.
Chate. You stay. I don't know how to say his last name. I think he could probably. I think he could maybe do a good Human Torch.
All right, now the tough one would be the Thing, because
Yeah. The thing is tough because he has to be big, dude. Like,
that's the only thing. The original thing was the best cast for that character.
oh yeah, totally.
I forget the guy's name, but he was on the Shield.
The Shield, and yeah, I know who you're talking
Oh
about.
yeah, he's like,
He was perfect for it.
Oh, he was perfect. Yeah.
Now this guy, it will be a stretch, but it possibly could work because of how well it worked for Dave Bautista.
Okay. You're going
The
a
Rock.
wrestler?
Do The Rock as the Thing.
I was totally gonna say that. I was like, The Rock should play The Rock.
Yes, I think that will work, or even John Cena. Because John Cena can bulk up like nobody's business. But he might
I can see John Cena.
Yeah, I can't see The Rock doing it, but I could definitely see John Cena doing it.
Because you got to have that hard outer shell, but have a sweetheart of a heart kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like only a wrestler can play that role. I still think they would mocap it. That's what I loved about the first Fantastic Four movie, even though it wasn't that great of a movie. I loved how they did the Thing because it was more practical. It was actually like a suit and prosthetics and everything, and it made it more like grounded and real looking.
Oh yeah, just like the how the newest Star Wars has been much more practical effects.
Yeah, exactly. I like that, honestly. Like Marvel is getting to the point where it's almost like Thanos was great. Like, don't get me wrong, like that was one of the most amazing like mocap performances I've ever seen. But it gets to a point where gets back to this whole like desaturation and everything where it's like what's real, what's not. You don't get invested if it doesn't feel real kind of thing. So that's where I don't see John Cena working if they went the practical side and like try to do like a costume. But since the Hulk isn't in a costume, since all these other characters, Groot, name it, whatever, it would go visual, like mocap style. So then, yeah, I think John Cena would totally work for that.
Yeah, I think John Cena would be pretty good with that, and I don't know, he's got some comedic relief and also can do the tough guy act. That's the other thing. Is the tough guy act.
Well, so you keep talking about them, but how did they get in?
How did they get in?
Like that's the biggest question right now for everyone is X-Men and Fantastic Four, Deadpool, all that stuff. Like how do they integrate?
I think the integration is the multiverse through Doctor Strange. It has to be. It's the only way they can do it.
Who's naked?
My wife just took a look at Nick's profile and asked who's naked. Yeah, sorry. My computer was about to die, so I grabbed my charger real quick.
Nice.
But it has to be the multiverse. Oh, Nick just left for some reason.
You got all excited to go.
Yeah. I think it was the fact that he got too excited with Chris Hemsworth. He has to take a 5-minute break. But I actually do believe that it would be through the multiverse, and I would love for the X-Men to come back because there's so many characters in the X-Men that are huge roles in the Marvel Universe, and I don't know if they won't be able to do Hugh Jackman, so it's going to be interesting to see who they would want to do Wolverine.
I always saw Tom Hardy as a Wolverine.
But is he same age?
No, I don't think he's as old as Hugh Jackman. But the problem I see with it is that if he is Venom, and technically Venom is part of the MCU, which it technically right now is, he can't beat Wolverine. So
right,
go back to the drawing board. That was the first person I ever thought of. If like someone had to take Hugh Jackman's spot, like who would it be? Like after like Bane and everything, man, that dude's like
he's a great actor too.
Yeah, he's great. So no, it's funny. So the alternate multiverse, alternate realities, whatever you call it, totally was one thing. I had two completely different things for both sets of character, the X-Men and Fantastic Four, and these are also stretches. I'm going on a stretch right now. So X-Men, my thing was in Endgame, there was that scene where Rocket is talking to all the guys, and he was saying like there was this huge cosmic power that went off when Thanos snapped on Earth, and then the same thing happened when he snapped again when he destroyed the stones. I'm thinking this is the way they tie in the X gene to the MCU is when
Oh,
Thanos snapped his finger, it created an X gene among all the younger, maybe not even born yet, undeveloped humans and inserted an X gene within them that would cause them to become mutants.
that would
That's
be interesting.
that's a big throw out there, but who knows? My other one for the Fantastic Four is maybe they've been in the MCU this entire time, but they've been inside the quantum realm this entire time because Reed Richards is a scientist. He's a very smart guy. Maybe he was working with Hank Pym on stuff. They went to the quantum realm, and that's where they got all their powers when it was like a freak accident, just like how they got theirs in space in the actual like story. So they went to the quantum realm to like study, and something went wrong, and they got powers while they were in there. And finally, like after all this stuff has been going on throughout the movies, they come back, and it's like, wait, who are these guys? Oh, okay, cool. Like maybe it ties in with Ant-Man or something. Yeah,
Or have
those are
another
my
rat just open up the quantum realm and all these
yeah.
characters.
I don't know. That's the thing is like I don't know how they get out of the quantum realm. Maybe they figure it out. Maybe there's a fluke accident with Ant-Man like tinkering around with it. But those are my two big, like, just throw them out there ideas.
Yeah, that would be interesting. The quantum realm would be a cool little side project, but I think they're going to take the easy route with the multiverse.
Yeah, it's definitely easier and less confusing to go that way.
Yeah.
And the quantum realm's already been obviously used as a big factor with the whole time travel thing. So,
Yeah.
and what's
Exactly.
funny, and I want to bring this up with you because I know how much you love Deadpool. Because we also are talking about how these guys get in there. So how does Deadpool get in? So I
Well,
was
that's the
thinking,
thing about Deadpool. The Deadpool, you can just have
he
it
just cross
be
over when he wants.
crossed over whenever the hell you want, just
I
like
mean,
you put in the comic.
yeah, I mean, you could totally do that and take the easy route, and it'd be funny and it'd be great, and everyone would love it. The other thing I was thinking was he has the methods of time travel too.
Right, especially
Remember,
with how
cable and
Deadpool
all that.
2
Yeah.
ended.
So
I actually can. My thing would be really funny if you do kind of like Deadpool kills the Marvel Universe. If you do
mhm.
something kind of similar, where Deadpool is, you start going into like this whole storyline that Sony put together, and it's basically almost word for word the same as his very first movie. And he just rips the writers a new one and basically does, in the words of my favorite cartoon character, Buddy Cartman, "Fuck you guys, I'm going home." And then he just hops over and he goes over to the Marvel writers and says, "Here, fix this."
It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be interesting. I know I'm not 100% sure on this. I know I read something where Kevin Feige said they did not want to water down Deadpool. They want to keep it R.
Good.
Even though it's Disney, they still want to keep it R because he knows he's a business guy. Like people would revolt if it wasn't R. You can't do Deadpool PG-13. It just can't happen. It didn't work in X-Men Origins. It's not going to work again. So that stays R. Blade stays R. I think Disney's going to have like this little edgier side to them.
Venom's got to
Uh,
stay R.
Venom's
And
got to be R.
Venom can go a little bit more R, if anything. Especially now that they just released the title, which
Hmm.
is actually
Carnage.
really, really cool one. And Woody Harrelson is going to be really interesting playing that.
Yeah, it's going to be good. I'm excited. I'm interested to see if like Tom Holland's Spidey ends up in that. There's been so many rumors that he will
There's a
be.
lot. There's a
So,
lot of them.
and I think that they have to just solidify it as a MCU entity. So, but yeah, I mean, so yeah, getting back to that, like Deadpool will be a very interesting one. I actually could see that happening sooner than any other X-Men, Fantastic Four, all that stuff. I could see Deadpool happening before any of those because so many people love Deadpool and those movies actually were successful, whereas Fantastic Four movies have a bad track record.
Mm-hmm.
which not saying that they will continue that way, but that's just how it is.
How
And
it
then
is.
X-Men, it's a kind of a hit and miss with them. Yeah, they
Dark.
definitely it got watered down,
Yeah.
and then it got confusing because then they were like, well, there's this line and then there's this side, and then let's bring them together.
Future
It got
past, future
yeah.
Dark Phoenix. They could have made Phoenix a lot cooler too, which
I
sucks.
didn't even bother watching that.
I just saw that, and that one, it wasn't that bad, but it could have been a lot better.
Yeah.
A lot
Yeah,
better.
that's a tough one that no one's nailed down yet. Uh, so yeah, I mean, that's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing Deadpool's coming in before anybody from the Fox side.
Okay,
And
now this is my question. So Sony is getting absorbed by um, Disney, right? Now
Fox. Yeah.
but Sony still has some of. No, it is Fox. So what about the other characters that we always heard rumors about? So such as Gambit, Modok, um, Galactica. Do you think and Silver Surfer? Like, do you think that Disney's gonna take those and make their own little stories with those, or do you think they're gonna hold off on those and see if they can get them later on?
I feel like Galactus might get teased in Eternals because the Eternals are Celestials and Galactus is a Celestial,
Mm-hmm.
and that just is it's too convenient of a tie-in. So I feel like they might tease it. I honestly don't know too much of the Eternal storyline.
Neither do I.
Yeah,
I never.
I can't really touch on that.
I wish I could give you guys more information, but I have no idea.
Yeah. Um, I could see it teased. I could see Galactus being one of those Thanos level baddies that's teased for a while that will end up once the X-Men show up kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
He's too big of a bad guy to be a one-off.
Yep.
Like Thanos was teased for like what 10 years, had like 3 movies or something. Whereas like you have these other people that like are just in the movie and then gone.
Yep.
Can't do that with him. There's no way. Silver Surfer kind of like ties in with Galactus. Like those two kind of go together.
Yeah.
That one's tough too though, because like that's actually he's a big fan favorite too. So I don't know if they go the same route as that shit show they did with him being the Herald and saying like Galactus is coming, but maybe he just shows up at the X-Men. I also think the X-Men shows potential with if they just show up and no one knows who the hell they are, it could set up an X-Men versus Avengers storyline, which was a pretty cool comic too.
That
Like
would be a cool concept.
I could totally see that going down too, because the Avengers just would maybe see them as a threat, like, oh my God, what is this? Like, but it's also tough because technically Scarlet Witch is a mutant, but they didn't have the rights at the time, so she's
Right.
a specially enhanced, person. So it's like they have been around the mutant gene, but I guess that one was a different situation because she was made through the scepter. That one's tough. So that's one of those things where like they could see the X-Men and go, oh, they kind of have like weird powers like she does, or they could be like, who the hell? And then like, this is a threat, X-Men versus Avengers. So Young Avengers.
Young Avengers. There you go. But yeah, it's going to be interesting, and all we can do is just sit and wait. We're coming up on an hour, so I'm going to end it with this last question for you. Out of all the characters in the comic book series of Marvel, who is it that you want to see the most? Give me your top 3 that you would want to see have their like own movie or a little side gig kind of thing. And they can't have a movie, so no Fantastic Four, no Wolverine.
Sure. Well, can I say? So this is tough because like a lot of people don't know about this about me. I mean, they do know I love Spider-Man. Love Spider-Man. My number 2 is actually Daredevil, and I would love to see Daredevil get on that big screen with Spidey. And we touched on that earlier.
Mm-hmm.
I totally see it coming. I totally hope it's the same dude because he did a great job. I love the Daredevil character though, and I would love to see that tie into like maybe the third Spider-Man movie. I don't think he can get his own movie per se, but I think as a like we were talking about like lawyer to Peter or just some side character, but not as a side character. Like he still is like going to have a prominent role in it. So yeah, I would love to see Daredevil. Who else would I would love to see? Damn. I think I think since it's already been teased and they never touched on it, in Guardians is Adam Warlock.
Yep.
I would love to see where they're going because originally, way back in the day when that was teased, I was like, "Oh, he's coming out to take on Thanos, take that Infinity Gauntlet, and just mess him up." And they didn't,
Never
go
happened.
with it. Didn't go with it. So he's kind of just like sitting there, just like stirring and waiting. So I would love to see that come into play. And then, man, third person. I'm not entirely sure, man.
It's a tough one.
It is tough. Like,
Because you always got that too.
yeah, I mean, I'm gonna go back to my, my geeky dream and just say like, I want a Norman Osborn in the MCU. Like, he is such a huge character in
Yeah.
Marvel. Like, if you just strip away the MCU side of it, just solely on comics, he is like just up there with all the baddie bads. All the worst of the worst. And he messes, he definitely messes up Spider-Man big time, but he messes up a lot of people. Like, he's like on a Doctor Doom level. So if
There you
he
go.
got if he got yeah, Doctor Doom's another one. Like if they get it right for once.
Yeah.
But I've never was really big on Doctor Doom. Uh, like not saying he's not a bad villain or anything, but Norman Osborn's just like he's smart, he's insane, unhinged. Like he can be in public and just be like, hey, how's it going? And all of a sudden he's like a freaking goblin on a hang glider shooting and blowing people up. So like and he's just sneaky, so I just feel like if he was in there it would just like it would be like one of those situations like in Winter Soldier where Robert Redford, the director of Shield, you didn't know he was a bad guy. He was with
Right.
Hydra. He was behind the
Exactly.
scenes. I could totally see that with Norman Osborn because in the comics he did the same thing. He turned Shield into Hammer, made it evil, did all this stuff like, but again, ties with Sony's and Disney's relationship, so it's tough to put all your eggs in that basket. But if it was to work out that way, phew, be
It will
awesome.
work out really well. For me, I mean, those are some good choices because I wasn't even thinking about a villain at all, and you
Mhm.
just opened up a whole nother floodgate. Um, but for me, I would have to say my first one, because I just loved him in the cartoon so much, is an actual great rendition of Gambit. Just Gambit alone, not the Wolverine Gambit, just the whole thievery, ladies' man, thinking he's a ladies' man kind of thing. It would have been awesome. And they had the right guy with Channing Tatum, I thought. And now that's fallen. I don't know who they would pick, but he would be awesome. Just for shits and giggles, I would love to see Squirrel Girl because it's just something totally outrageous.
Yeah, yeah.
And it would be really funny because I've heard somebody tell me because I had no idea who Squirrel Girl was, and somebody told me she's actually one of the most powerful
She
superheroes
is.
there.
She's
The
taking
whole
out Thanos.
yeah, the whole Marvel universe. But instead of going blow to blow, she just tries to use common sense, which is freaking amazing.
Yeah.
And then the other one that they've been talking about a lot, and I hope they do it, is She-Hulk.
Mm-hmm.
She-Hulk will be unbelievably awesome to do. And I want Aisha Tyler to do it because she would kill at it, I think. And then villain wise, I don't know villain wise because like usually for me when it comes to villains, it's usually DC. DC's got the villains that I would much rather take.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I just can't think of a villain that I can't think of one right now. I mean, they just brought one that I would have thought of, which is Trickster, which is in Black Widow.
Oh,
That-
Taskmaster.
Yeah, Taskmaster. Right.
I'm actually really excited for that because he is actually one of my faves. Just because he's just different than all the other ones. He's not like a super villain. He's just like smart and skilled.
Yep.
One's
exactly.
like really cool. Because I was playing the Spider-Man game, the PS4 game, and I don't know if you played it that far yet. But
It's all good. That game's been out for a while. I still
Yeah.
got a long way to go.
So you're in for a treat. I'll just tell you that right now. That's a good, yeah, I was excited for that. But I mean, there's so many villains.
Yep.
You just got to do them right. Like Marvel does not have a good track record. The MCU does not have a good track record with villains, really. Like Thanos was like, the guy, but everybody else was kind of a one-off.
They did a great job with what's his name from Black Panther, Michael B.
Oh
Jordan.
yeah, Killmonger was like
did.
always my second
was
guy there.
Really
But
good.
I mean, if you think about it, like you never really. That's the problem is like all these heroes get their backstory. They get multiple movies, whereas
Yeah.
the villains we don't really get that. And I know Nick kind of was harking on the backstory of Thanos. I thought they did a pretty good job. Like
Trying to speed it up and get things going.
Yeah, and you tease a guy for that long too, like
People did their research. They know what he's about, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Though they missed a couple of things on it, but that's just whatever.
But yeah, I mean, you got Galactus coming around. I'm sure you got Kang the Conqueror. He could be a thing in there. You got
what's that one? Isn't it the animal for Spider-Man? Yeah, it's Kang the Conqueror.
Kang's a.
No.
You're thinking of Craven, I think.
Yes, that's
Craven
it.
the Hunter. He's cool. It's another Spidey deal there. I mean, Spidey's got so many good bad guys. I could go on and on for that, but I'm thinking like the big ones, like Doctor Doom style. Kang.
Doctor Doom's going to be an interesting one if they can bring him in, because he actually flips the script, and so that's going to be the interesting part about him.
Yeah. So.
All right, I think that's it. I think that's going to be it for this first episode. It's not bad. It's a good little pre-run. Hopefully we can get
test
more.
drive.
Hopefully we can get more guys on here and have a little bit more drinking, a little bit more yelling at each other.
I'm out.
Yeah, I'm out too, and I got to pee like a racehorse now. All right, that's it for us for the Wednesday Night Crew. We'll try this again later on. Later, Derek.
See ya.